we need it? Does it help people if I
Yes.
speak into this? Okay, then I will use it. The faithful budget is not a budget in the sense of it doesn't have, I'm going to spend this much on military, we're going to spend this much on this, we're going to get our income from here. It's more or less a guideline to be used by people who believe in people and believe that from their faith base they are called to create a program that takes care of everybody, not just the few. It was put together, it was finished last summer. It was done because of the Fiscal Cliff. It was done as a part of a process so that whenever federal budgetary discussions are held, there will be some faithful guidelines that could be used in order to determine whether or not this one will work for all the people, not just some of the people. Part of what they try to do is to be realistic. That is to say what works. If it works, let's keep it. If it works most of the time, let's improve it. If it doesn't work, that we can get rid of. Unfortunately, very often when we look at what people actually are saying at budget time, it is get rid of the things that work, or work most of the time, and let's keep some of the things that quite clearly don't work. But we'll just keep working at it, and one of these days it will work, or we know it doesn't work, but maybe it creates some jobs or it does something else, and so therefore we're not going to touch it. And some of the biggest items in the U.S. federal budget, for example, war, are in that protected system that says, no, we're not going to really look at it. And so those things all came up for grabs as people were looking at the federal budget as a priority system. If you go online, you will see that it's a 50-page document, but there is a smaller version. And just to let you know that we did, there was a coalition that met actually here for its kickoff on November 26th, and we did march ourselves up to Congressman Shavett's office, and we did talk to his aide, and gave him a copy. And then Kristen and the group from IJPC that does their regular visits to congresspeople did present a second copy, and they gave it directly to Congressman Shavett and asked him specifically to promise to read it, which he did. But he also told them that he could not abide by any tax increases, but he did want to protect the vulnerable. So we'll see what happens when he actually reads it, and we're supposed to get a call to come and discuss it. So we'll see when that happens too. If anybody's interested, let us know. We can take you along for this, what I think will be an interesting conversation. The problems that we looked at, or the people that drafted this faithful budget looked at, they are specifically from the poor. They're coming from what at least we in the Roman Catholic tradition look at as the preferential option for the poor. Now, basically that means when you're considering something, put the poor on the top, not on the bottom as an afterthought. It does not mean you don't consider other people, but you do consider those people who need the most help within a system that is set up to be available for all people. And clearly that's what the role of government is. The government of law and the rules of the government are supposed to be to help everybody, not just a few. So this does not enter into discussions like, do people who make upwards of $250,000 still qualify as middle class or not? This is geared for the people who, according to studies, can get out of poverty if you're a family of four, if you have an income of about $44,000. So that's a pretty big differential here between what would be the beginning of middle class and the discussion as to when that happens to end. It is an understanding that everybody has a mutual responsibility, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're in the middle, whatever. We all have a responsibility for everyone, and that we need to focus on job creation, economic revitalization, an equitable tax system based on fairness, and true human security over disproportionate military spending. None of those are controversial, I don't think. If you just look at them, it depends on how you an equitable tax system based on fairness. Everybody wants that. It just depends on what equitable means and what fairness means. True human security, a good thing, and disproportionate military spending. If we don't need it, we shouldn't have it. So just if you look at those goals by themselves, they are not particularly controversial. It's only through the eyes of the person who hears them that they become, the ears of the person who hears them as to whether or not they actually are going to become something that we might want to think about. The faithful budget itself points out that we do have some needs. And that, for example, it tells us that we're not getting any better in helping our poor, and that there's no real good reason why that doesn't happen. We can't afford it. One thing that will not work is to say that by cutting from the money that we give to the poor, we will be able to balance our budget. We can't do it. It's not a reality-based thought even to do that. And besides, we don't want to live in a society that does not have a social network. We want people to have some security here. We have all kinds of debates going on right now. I just, sometimes when I watch the news, I think this is just a very bizarre thing we're doing. You know, so we look at something like, everybody knows that if we're going to have even manufacturing jobs, we have to really beef up education, because we have manufacturing jobs right now that many of our people aren't qualified to do. So we have to figure out a way to get people qualified and trained to do it. And so we spend, now this is not on the federal level, but it's happening on the state level, we spend valuable time trying to figure out if the best way to judge our schools is by an A, B, C, D, E, F method, or if we should do it by other wordings that we have. Now, I don't care how we do that personally. I'm comfortable with A, B, C, D, E, F, you know, I'm a teacher, I get that. But on the other hand, if you say something is proficient, or something works well, or something isn't working well, that I got that message too. None of that is really hitting the problem. It isn't hitting the problem of why is it that we have kids who aren't capable of getting jobs in manufacturing, or middle-aged people who aren't capable of doing that. Why do we have jobs that are open and nobody can take them? And what are we doing about it? It has little to do with what kind of a grading system that we put on our education system. Sometimes I think those discussions are in place because it makes us feel like we're doing something and we actually aren't. And the faithful budget says we have to quit talking about stuff that isn't meaningful, and we have to be super honest and look at what would be the consequences of the things that might be proposed within a budgetary need. So when we look at things like the human needs assessment that we all have, you know, one of the things that we know have worked, and that is the earned income tax credit. According to statistics that they quote here in the budget, it says that it lifted 5.4 million people out of poverty so far. Okay, so that seems like a good thing. So why would we even debate cutting it out? If it works for poor people this is a little boost that might put their family into a bracket where they are no longer considered poor. The child tax credit has lifted 2.6 million people out of poverty. Under what they had in the